What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with my Week 10 wide receiver rankings, half point PPR. As always, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. Let me know if you guys have any starts, sits, anything like that, cuts, trade advice. Getting close to that playoff push for most people. My playoffs start week 12, so I'll start dropping playoff content very soon. I know I have an early playoffs, but there's other people who have early playoffs out there and people who want to get prepared and get ready to win that title, go on that run. Hopefully, a bunch of my listeners will win their titles this year. That's what I'm hoping for. I think it will happen. Okay, so let's hop in his Week 10 rankings. Number one, I've got Tyreek Hill. He plays Cleveland this week. He's been absolutely awesome, on record-setting pace right now. 2, Stephon Diggs against Minnesota in a revenge game for him. I think he's going to have a monster day. And 3, in that same matchup, Justin Jefferson against Buffalo. I think there could be a good amount of points scored in that one. 4, Cooper Kupp against Arizona. Monitor Matthew Stafford's concussion situation, but either way, you're playing Cooper Kupp, so it really doesn't matter a whole lot. That's the reason he's at 4 for this week. And Arizona's got some tough corners. 5, A.J. Brown against Washington. It's a good matchup for him. I expect A.J. Brown to have a strong game. He's a stud, obviously. 6, Davante Adams plays Indy this week. I saw him go off last week. Indy's a tough matchup, but it's still Davante Adams. He's still an absolute stud. 7, Jalen Waddle against Cleveland. Him and Tyreek have been tearing it up all week long. I'm not afraid to have them both as top 10 players. I think they are on a weekly basis. I think they are rest of season as well. You're playing Jalen Waddle each and every single week. He's an absolute stud wide receiver for your team. 8, Deebo Samuel and his likely return against the Chargers. I think he's due for a big game in this one. I think McCaffrey will have a strong game as well, but I think they can coexist. I don't think it hurts him a little bit season long, but I don't think, obviously, you're still starting Deebo Samuel. He's still a stud. He's still top 10. 9, DeAndre Hopkins plays the Rams. A little bit worried about Jalen Ramsey here, but I think they've been moving Ramsey around so much. I don't know if they match him up on him and mirror him. So I'm still starting DeAndre Hopkins, and either way, you're still playing Hopkins. So 10, Amon-Ra St. Brown in Chicago. Maybe not what you hoped for last week. You hoped for maybe more points against Green Bay. But really, if you look at the target share and the amount of throws they had, he's still over 30%. I expect him to stay around that range since that T.J. Hockenson trade. 11, DK Metcalf against Tampa Bay. He's getting targets each and every week. Tampa Bay secondary is banged up. They're going to score some points. I mean, who knows what Tampa Bay team shows up, honestly. But I think that DK is a good start each and every week. 12, CeeDee Lamb plays Green Bay this week. Tougher matchup for him. I don't know if they'll shadow him with Jair. I kind of doubt it, but I do know that, all the corners across the board for Green Bay are pretty good. So, 13, Mike Evans plays Seattle this week. Seattle's had a tough secondary, but he still carries immense touchdown upside with him. And with the current way their roster is constructed, he's getting a good amount of targets each and every week. So you're playing Mike Evans. Chris Olave, great matchup for him against Pittsburgh. He's getting a lot of targets each and every week. And a little bit disappointing last week, but if that's kind of your floor game you get from him moving forward, I'd be pretty happy with that. Not saying it is, but I'm just saying when you look at wide receivers across the board, they're pretty inconsistent. To have 70 yards, not too bad. 15, Juju Smith-Schuster against Jacksonville. Great matchup for him. He's been very good for fantasy football the last 3 weeks. Very consistent. Been a top 15 wide receiver each of the last 3 weeks. 16, Amari Cooper plays in Miami. He's absolutely shredded Miami in the past. I think he could have a big game in this one. I don't know if they really have a solution for him. Maybe they'll just take him out of the game, though, in this matchup. Who knows? But I really like Amari Cooper this week. At 17, I've got DJ Moore. Great matchup for him against Atlanta. We saw what he did to them a few weeks ago. Monitor the starting quarterback, though. If it's Baker, I would downgrade him a bit. If it's P.J. Walker, I have him right here. 18, Christian Kirk against Kansas City. Had a great week last week. I think they'll have to put up some points. I think they'll be a little bit more pass-heavy in this matchup, knowing that they'll need to score some points, and there's a good chance they're playing from behind at some point. Christian Kirk, I have as a top 20 wide receiver. 19, Terry McLaurin. He plays Philly this week. Tougher matchup for him, but he's been really good since Taylor Heineke took over as the starting quarterback for them. 20, Allen Lazard against Dallas. A lot of games, very consistent so far, where he's either scoring, a touchdown, he's giving you 100. He's doing things to help you win. 21, we've got Josh Palmer against San Francisco. Good matchup for him. San Francisco secondary is kind of where their defense struggles a little bit. Really, they've got a good defense across the board, but that's their only real weakness. I just think he's going to get enough targets. I don't expect Keenan Allen to play. that he's going to be basically, you're going to roll him out every single week that Keenan Allen misses, and even then maybe some if Keenan Allen returns before Mike Williams. 22, Chris Godwin against Seattle hasn't had the games that you've hoped for him to have, and this is a tougher matchup on paper, but I still think he's going to get a good amount of targets, and he's a safe play. 23, Tyler Lockett against Tampa Bay. Lockett's been really good for fantasy football this year with Geno. It's just been a revelation, and you can play him as a solid wide receiver too, maybe even a little higher each and every week. 24, Gabe Davis against Minnesota. I just like this matchup. I think there's going to be some points scored in this one, especially on the Buffalo side. So Gabe Davis you can play with full confidence this week. 25, Jerry Jeudy. Jeudy has been really good, just shredding man-to-man coverage, and Tennessee is a very poor matchup against wide receivers. He's been targeted more and more as the number one. Sutton's kind of transitioned to the 2 in recent weeks, so we'll see if that trend continues. I think it probably will with Judy's recent success. 26, Devonta Smith. He hasn't had the weeks that you would hope for recently, but I still have full confidence in him, and this is a good matchup against Washington. 27, Deontay Johnson against New Orleans. He gets the targets, and I don't think Lattimore's going to be back. Actually, Lattimore might have been back the other day. I'm not 100% sure on Lattimore's status right now. But either way, you're going to play Deontay Johnson since the trade of Chase Claypool. I think him and Pickens should have a good amount of targets each and every week, and Deontay's already been getting his targets, so I think he's a safe floor play. 28, Brandon Cooks. You obviously had the spat with the team, but he's back now, and their receiving core is just devoid of talent all over the place. Nico Collins went injured, so I do think he'll have to be utilized. 29, Courtland Sutton. Talked about him a little earlier. It's still a good matchup, though. And you got, if you're not playing him in this matchup against Tennessee, I don't know really when you're going to play him. 30, Rondale Moore against the Rams. I think the slot is where they can expose them, especially if Jalen Ramsey is going out and covering DeAndre Hopkins on the outside, which I do think there's a higher chance he does in this game just because his success historically against Hopkins. And then 31, Darnell Mooney. Great matchup for him against Detroit, and Justin Fields has looked much improved in recent weeks, so I think you can play him in that matchup for sure. Such a clutch matchup against Detroit. If you guys have made it to this point in the video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. This has been Fantasy Joe. Thank you guys for watching.